Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about, is it really possible to get faster before Dopey 2026?
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone RunDisney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line.
Today, as the day I'm recording this, is December 1st. Yes, this will go out tomorrow. No, I usually try not to do this the day before that it goes out. But if you are a regular listener, you also know that I didn't put any out last week. I am going to give a little life update, and then I will get into the information about, is it possible to actually get faster before Dopey 2026? When this episode is going to drop, December 2nd. I did not put out a podcast episode last week, not a single one. Normally it's 2 a week, and life got lifey. Stuff happened. So last week was Thanksgiving, and at not super last minute, but relatively last minute, we decided that my parents were going to come into town for Thanksgiving. My mom had been talking about wanting to come visit again. She was here last year in October 2024, visited us when we were renting a home in Utah, splitting our time between Utah and Vegas, and was talking about wanting to come back and visit this year, especially after we had the new house. Now, if you've been following along for the past couple of months, we moved and officially moved home October 3rd. We closed on our home on September 18th or 19th, and then did some work on the new home in those first couple of weeks, and then moved into the new home. It has been a shit show. Forgive me, I don't normally swear on here. Earmuffs for the little kids that are listening. So sorry about that. I did not give a warning. It has just been all over the place. We've had some work done, we had some electrical work done, we had some painting done, we had IKEA closets installed, we had different fixtures put in, just swapping out the old stuff. So we are in a brand new home. The way this company works is what you see is what you get. So that allows for us to choose flooring, countertop, and cabinet colors. That's it, which is fine. It's a very nice home. We just had a few other things that we wanted different. Like we wanted black faucets in some of the bathrooms instead of the brushed nickel that it had. Like odds and ends like that. There are also not a single towel bar or towel hook in the entire house. So we had to install those. Just definitely nice to haves. Nothing major, with the exception of we live in Las Vegas and we installed a soft water loop. Well, the loop was there. We had to install the soft water machine, whatever you call it. If you don't know, all of our water comes from Lake Mead here in Las Vegas. The amount of water we get depends on how much snow happens on Mount Charleston in the winter. And Lake Mead has been very low lately. And it's incredibly, incredibly hard water. So pretty much everybody gets a soft water loop. If you don't, which we didn't in our other house for years, you get all of the mineral buildup. You get all the mineral buildup going through your own system. You're drinking the water, but you get all that mineral buildup on everything. So you have to literally scrape it off of the bottom of your faucets, as an example. So this time around, we knew, do it from the get-go. But also, we want that water very well filtered, because if you also don't know, Lake Mead is full of dead bodies. That is a fun little fact. So as the height of the water has been changing over the past couple of years, things have washed up on the shore. And, well, that's where we get our water from. So if that grosses you out, buy bottled water here in Las Vegas, but everywhere is filtered water. We just, add extra filtration with reverse osmosis and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, long story short, that stuff's been going on. So I recorded a ton of podcast episodes before I ran the Halloween half marathon in September. I recorded, I don't know, like 6 weeks worth to get me through a big chunk of not only the Halloween half marathon weekend, but also the move. Well, the move was much more involved than I had anticipated. So 6 weeks worth, I still think I had 2 accidental weeks with no podcast episodes then. And then more stuff just happened in the middle to end of October or middle to end of November, whatever month it is. Gosh, see, time is flying. And I did not get it done to get podcasts recorded for Thanksgiving week. So, whoopsie daisy, accidental week off. Thank you so much for your patience in having episodes come out. Also, that also reminds me, thank you so much, Trisha, for letting me know that one of my podcast episodes was not the correct one. It probably is very helpful that I start the episode off with what I'm going to talk about. And if that does not match the name that you clicked on, please, please, please go ahead and tell me, because I am a one-woman show over here. It is me. I record these podcast episodes. I come up with the podcast episodes, names, topics, the whole conversation I have with myself here in front of the computer. I record it, I edit it, I post it, all by myself. Apparently, that's how I used to say it when I was a kid. And with my mom being here, she's been saying that all week. Anyway, I do it all by myself. So if there's ever an instance where you're like, nope, that doesn't seem like what this episode should be about, please go ahead and tell me. I may have accidentally uploaded the wrong one. I will not get upset. I actually will be very grateful that you let me know that. Luckily, it's only happened, I don't know, I think twice. And the first time I caught it, and I actually don't listen to these episodes back because I edit them, so I listen to them back then. I don't listen to them when they come up on the podcast. I listen to Apple Podcasts. I don't listen to them. So maybe I should. I don't know. We're like 180 episodes in, and it's only happened twice. It's a pretty good percentage. Let me know if it doesn't seem to match what the title is. Please, please. I would love to know that information, and I will very easily swap. It's a very easy swap. I just have to delete and re-upload. It is easy peasy lemon squeezy, as your long run should be. So this past week, my parents came into town. They flew in on Tuesday, stayed through Thanksgiving. Dad left on Friday. Mom's still here. She's doing a little bit on her own right now. So I'm taking the time to record this podcast the day before it goes out. I hope I'll have time to edit this same day. If not, this is not coming out December 2nd. Hopefully it will come out December 4th. Who knows? We'll find out. It's in the future. We'll find out. So that is kind of like a little life update, I guess. My dad hasn't been here in 10 years, so it was nice to have him come. Almost 10 years. I guess 8 years, technically. December 2017, whatever that is. 8 years ago? Yeah. Mom has come out once, maybe every other year. So it was nice to have them here. My sister was here in September to help us move. One of my sisters, my other sister, it's been a little while since she's been here, so she's due. We'll probably coordinate to have her come out springtime. I think springtime will probably be better. It's nicer here. It's not too hot yet, but it's also not cold. So get out of the cold in New England. And then my brother came a couple of years ago, but he has a little baby, so we shall see. If you guys listen to this, coordinate with me and let's see if we can make it happen. Thanks, Chip and Molly and Julie. Let's get into it. Is it possible to still get faster for Dopey 2026? So at the time of recording this, My interest list is open for Stronger, Faster, Finisher. And I did get a question recently about, well, can I actually even get faster and like take advantage of how Stronger, Faster, Finisher works for Dopey 2026? Very valid question, because my interest list closes December 3rd. So hopefully this will come out on the 2nd and not the 4th. But there's always future Stronger, Faster, Finisher groups. I have no intention at this time to end the thing, because it is my favorite program I've done. Ever since I switched to online coaching, I've done different types of programs. This is by far my favorite one. So I have no intention of getting rid of it anytime soon. So if you don't get on the interest list in time for this round to open, check in, see when it opens next. So interest list is closing December 3rd because the program opens for interest list members on December 4th. And then you can get started on December 8th. So a week from the day that I'm recording this. Because it is possible to reap the benefits of what Stronger, Faster, Finisher does for you for Dopey 2026, or the Marathon 2026, or the half marathon at Marathon Weekend, half marathon at Disneyland. Definitely possible. To be completely honest, if it wasn't possible, I wouldn't be opening at the time that I am. But I was looking at all of the information that I've gathered over the past couple of years of how long it takes somebody to see results so that I can maximize your opportunity for your next Run Disney race. So I'm specifically opening Stronger, Faster, Finisher for the interest list group in December because it is still possible. Now, with a few caveats. Is it possible if you've done zero training? No. We need to be realistic. If you've done zero training, but you're signed up for Dopey 2026, it's going to be a Hail Mary for you. I would not recommend signing up for Stronger, Faster, Finisher to reap those benefits just for Dopey 2026 if you haven't been doing anything. You can join, it's a 6-month program. You can join if you're looking for maybe Princess, Springtime Surprise, or next year's Dopey to get a head start on things. Definitely time to join. But if you haven't done any training at all, Dopey 2026, that's going to be a Hail Mary. You're going to put your best foot forward for sure. But I can't guarantee that you will finish that race. And that's what I guarantee in Stronger, Faster, Finisher. If you have been training regularly, or if you've been doing zero training, but your race, half marathon race, is 3 months away, or a marathon is 5 to 6 months away, then yes, I can guarantee that type of finish. You will cross the finish line. If you've done zero training, or not really a ton of training, I can't guarantee those results. Can I help you do better than what you could possibly do now? Yes, absolutely. And you may be thinking, well, Dr. Allie, why are you even saying these things? Don't you want people in the group? Yes, of course. I want people in the group. But I also want people in the group who realistically can succeed for the race that they want. Now, if you're saying, okay, well, Dopey 2026 is not really realistically going to happen, even if I'm signed up for it, let me just join for Princess 2026, Springtime Surprise 2026, Dopey 2027, Wine and Dine 2026. Yes, please come join. Absolutely. I just want to make sure it's realistic. But for somebody who has been training, let's say you started the normal training in June, July, maybe August. That's typically when people are training. If you're following any of my free training plans for Marathon, Goofy, or Dopey, That training plan this year started started July 6th. And so if you've been following, maybe you've had to take a week off or 2 weeks off, something hurt. I was talking to somebody in DMs today where she had to be in a boot for 8 weeks because of a stress fracture, but she's gotten up to 14 miles as her long run, and that feels pretty good. These are instances where, yes, Marathon Goofy Dopey 2026, it is realistic that you can A, still get faster, and B, finish without feeling like hot garbage. Even though there's only however many weeks left, 5 weeks? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 weeks. Yes, it's still possible. So there are very distinct things that I guide my clients through. Now, if you've listened to this, I have my signature finisher framework. It goes through 6 major categories. These categories are what make up what I consider a successful training plan. Now, not everybody needs to change all 6 of these, but you need these 6 things balanced out in order to cross the finish line, get faster, and feel better through this whole training process, through your whole race. Okay, sorry about that. I am not sure where I just left off, but doorbell rang, and if you've ever been on any of my live calls, you know what happens when the doorbell rings in this house. Levi goes absolutely crazy. So the 6 pillars, the 6 categories, you don't need to change all 6. Not everybody needs to change all 6, but these are the 6 things that we look at so that you can have a successful race, a successful training plan, a successful just overall training for your race and getting to the race, finishing the race. These 6 things. So that's your strength, your training, rest and recovery, equipment like shoes, stretching and mobility, diet, nutrition, fueling. So, and hydration. We look at all of those 6 categories and see where things need to change for you. So for somebody who is looking to get faster, we're going to look at a couple of different categories. So training for sure, strength, and rest and recovery. Those are the top 3. And then last, I'll look at fueling. But I look at those in that order. So training first, looking at what you're doing for your long run, what you're doing for cross training, and what you're doing for speed workout. So if you want to get faster, most runners make the mistake of only looking at their speed. And what happens is you think, and to no fault of your own, because it's the thing that makes the most sense. If you want to get faster, you have to try and go faster, right? Well, yes, you do need to try and go faster. We also need to look at how you're training otherwise. Because if you are always trying to constantly go, and get faster, you're going to burn out. You're going to, and I don't mean burnout in the sense of, well, I'm not going to want to run anymore, like I'm not motivated, not that type of burnout, but just burn out your legs, burn out your body, and not have the actual ability to go faster. So you hear the phrase, like the 80-20 rule, 80% of your running should be slow, easy, conversational pace, zone 2 if you follow heart rate zones for your training. Yes. And what that does is when you train at this easy, conversational pace, zone 2 pace, you have the energy to then push yourself harder during the speed workouts. I see it all the time with my clients. I personally saw it years ago where I was running and I was trying to run faster and more every time I went out for a run, thinking, well, in order to make progress, I need to test my limits. I need to push my limits to get to that next level. And yes, that is true. You don't make any progress if you don't push those limits. However, I did it wrong. And then I see other runners making the same mistake where you're trying to do it too much. When you have the strategy to run slower for more miles, more of the time, then you have the energy to go hard and fast on the shorter speed workout. So, as an example, in Stronger.Faster.Finisher, all of my clients have their long, easy run and they know exactly what that pace is for them. For some of my runners, that's an 18-minute per mile pace. For others, it's 12 minutes per mile. I'd say that is few and far between. Most people are somewhere 15, 16, 17. And then we have the upper limits of 18 and 19 minute per mile on the long, easy run. Then we have the short speed workouts. We have 4 specific speed workouts challenging the different paces. So moderate and hard paces to push the limits. What happens if you're always trying to run more miles and you're always trying to run faster, faster, faster? Oh, if I could just get faster, if I can just go 5 seconds per mile faster, a minute per mile faster, every time you run, you're constantly at your upper limits. As an example, I had a client who, had in her mind, I need to train at a 15-minute per mile pace because that's what runDisney recommends. If I want to beat the balloon ladies, I need to train at a 15-minute per mile pace because they hold 16-minute per mile pace. So that will guarantee that I'm going to be a minute per mile faster. So if I'm doing a half marathon, that gets me 13 minutes in ahead of the balloon ladies. If I'm doing a full marathon, 26 minutes in ahead of the balloon ladies, I'm not going to get swept. And I totally understand the concept. It doesn't work in actuality. Theoretically, that makes total sense. In actuality, it doesn't work because if 15 minutes per mile is your race pace, think about how exhausted people are when they race. Absolutely exhausted at the end because they're pushing their limits. If you're doing that every time you run 3, 4, 5 days a week, doesn't that sound exhausting? You're constantly pushing your upper limits. And so you're constantly exhausted. When you're exhausted, you don't recover as well, right? I don't know if anybody uses an Oura ring, it tells you this information all the time. If you don't sleep well, the next couple of nights you actually don't sleep well because you're too exhausted. So, same kind of concept. You can't recover well when you're that exhausted. It's like a 2-year-old who has missed nap time. You're screwed the rest of the day with that 2-year-old. They're grumpy and then they still can't fall asleep, right? If you're constantly at your upper limits, you are that cranky 2-year-old all the way through race day. You don't have the capacity to reset, essentially. So you don't have the capacity to get faster. When you go slower on your long run, and I'm talking 2 minutes per mile slower. So if you want your race pace to be 15 minutes per mile, and that's realistic for you, your long run needs to be at least 17-minute per mile pace. At least. It could even need to be slower. When you slow down that much, you have the capacity to go faster for the designated speed runs which could be anywhere between 2.5 to 4 miles long. So we're not talking just like 100-meter dash. We're talking 45, 60 minutes of designated hard work. And I took my clients through a 30-day to faster program in May. And runners who followed that program, which the number one thing to follow in that program was to go slower on their long run, they got a minute per mile faster. Now, was it because they could run faster on their shorter runs? Yes. Was it also because they just weren't as exhausted? Also, yes. But you need to know what your paces are. I think, I didn't even mention that before. I talk about it so much, I feel like I already mentioned it. You need to know what your paces are in order to let that happen. You need to know what your actual easy pace is. Now, I say 2 minutes per mile slower than your ideal race pace, but we have to put that into practice, because what if you don't know what your race pace is going to be? What if you have no concept of what it's going to be? If you're just guessing, you could still be operating at too fast on that long run. And that's not going to work for anybody. And you'll still be exhausted. But you only need 30 days to get faster with a combination of your speed workouts, a combination of your long run, changing what your long run is, combination of what you're doing to rest and recover to make sure that after all of these workouts, your legs are ready to go again. Or do they feel like lead? If they feel like lead, you can't carry your body through, right? You need to rest and recover appropriately. And then, I also mentioned fueling and strength. Well, will strength get you faster? Yes. However, not at this time. Strength has to come in the off season. I call it the build phase. That's when you aren't training for a race and you haven't just raced. It's at least 2 weeks after your last race and 2 to 3 or more months before you start training for your next race. So for somebody doing Dopey, as an example, and let's say they do Dopey and they do Princess. Princess this upcoming year is going to be March 1st. Then you take 2 weeks off. So then let's call it March 15th. March 15th would start the build phase. And then you'd have March to April, April to May, May to June, and then June to the beginning of July. So 3.5 months for the build phase. That's when strength training comes into play for getting faster in that build phase. And then the early stages of the training phase. If you're doing a long training cycle, like for the Goofy Challenge, Dopey, or the marathon. It changes a little bit if it's a half marathon or a 2-course challenge distance. But doing strength training now with 1 month to go, that's going to exhaust you and you're going to get slower. So strength training now, more strength training now, not going to work at this time period. Structured long run, structured speed workouts with the specific pacing requirements. Purposeful pacing is a good term for it because it's doing a specific pace with purpose. You're doing this on purpose. I'm going crazy slow on purpose. If you follow me on Instagram, watch some of my recent reels. It's me on a treadmill and I have not sped it up. I have not slowed it down. That is real time what my pace looks like for whatever workout I'm doing. So if it looks awkward, because it doesn't, it's like, why is she showing this? This is a little cringe and uncomfortable. Well, yeah, but it's real. It's real life. My long run pace, that's what it looks like. And then if it's a little bit faster or a lot faster, it's one of a speed workout. But so we're looking at those things, structured, purposeful. We're doing this pace on purpose. I'm going crazy slow on purpose. I'm going really hard for a short amount of time on purpose. And then how are you resting and recovering so that your legs are ready to go the next time you're set to work out? Are you giving yourself enough rest days? And then finally, fueling, nutrition, hydration, diet, things like that. You need to fuel. There needs to be something in the tank. If there's nothing in the tank, meaning you haven't eaten, you haven't hydrated properly, you're not going to have energy to go far and long. And I'm not talking about doing protein. More protein does not help runners in this scenario. Of course, it's important to have protein, but your body needs carbs. Your body uses carbs to go long distance, and it uses carbs to go short, fast. You need to be fueling. You can't have an empty tank. You need to be eating. So that was a longer episode than I had planned on. The end result is yes, you can get fast for Dopey 2026 now. Please take what you've learned in this episode and use it to adjust your strategy for your RunDisney race training. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right balance so you can finish strong, not broken. And if you want personalized guidance specific to your race, your injury history, your running background, and your goals, that's exactly what we do inside Stronger.Faster.Finisher. You'll get step-by-step instructions and a proven system to help you train smarter from start to finish. Join the waitlist today to be the first to know when it opens next. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.